It's been weeks since I've seen you.
Has it?
I mean, it's been
a while.
Would you say? It's been. We can smash them all together. It's been a while. Either way, I'm sad.
It has been a while.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm just working my way through, another week of strange and entertainment. Strangeness and entertainment, let's call it that.
Working my way back to you, girl.
I wouldn't say that.
With a love that was that Four Tops? Who's that? Working my way back to you.
I thought that was like an '80s song, like a soft cell friend, if you will.
I was close. It was the Four Seasons. Frankie Valli. Working my way back to you, babe.
No, that's the real version. Isn't there an 80s song that sampled that?
By the way, if you don't know Frankie Valli, go check out Grease.
Oh, that's right. That's fair, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That fucking track still slays.
Banger.
It's so good.
That's the beach scene, isn't it?
I don't know, but it's the theme to Grease.
Yeah, there's a beat in there. Like,
it's got motion.
I've got a few scenes from they're like Grease mashes up with a whole bunch of movies in my head sometimes, and I can't tell if it's. I don't think
there's a beach in Grease.
I don't think there's a beach in Grease. I thought it was like a dream sequence or something like that. I'm trying to, or is it Grease 2 Electric Boogaloo? I can't remember. I can't remember which one it is.
There is a beach in Grease like Santorini. But yeah.
Oh,
yes,
but not Santorini. Grease. It's gorgeous. It's stunning.
Grease is the word. Is the word.
I thought the bird was the word.
The bird is the word. Welcome to 2 Shots and a Royalty Check, brought to you by Venmo, Your Money, Your Move, and Liquid Death. Murder your thirst. Let's get back into it. I'm not going to do it.
I just want to watch
that Family Guy is laughing right now.
That's well played.
I do. I listen to that Grease sound. I listen to that song probably once a month. Every night. It's on like a few of my playlists because it's that guitar part that comes in.
Yeah.
It's just
it's a banger.
It's so good.
Totally a banger.
I think he was like 60 when he did. Like he's got to be.
Oh my God.
He's got to be 80 now.
Well, let's take a gander and see how old Frankie Valli is.
Frankie Valli is.
Let's
Frankie
take bets.
Valli, come on down. I love the first thing says, is Frankie Valli healthy?
He's 89. 89. Wow.
So pursuant to our previous conversations, when he did the Grease soundtrack, there's someone walking around now who's 42 years old or whatever the number is.
Lord. Wow. He was 47.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Like that dude's been going since 1953, since like when your parents were born, when a lot of people's grandparents were born. If you're listening,
my parents were born 53 and 55, I believe.
Yeah, my mom was 50, so
wow,
was born in 50.
Wow.
Yeah, and so like that's how long that dude's been, and he's still doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, almost 90 years old. I fucking love it. I love it.
He's been in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Okay? Get this. Since 1990.
What?
There's
for those of you paying attention
around today.
33 years old.
Who's 33, had a tough night at the bar last night trying to make rent that was born the year he was put in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
No kidding, right? That's amazing.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And he's a high voice singer. I mean, he sings, like that's hard. That's hard singing to do at 89.
I was playing a gig a couple of weeks ago, and Donkashane by Dr. Wayne Newton came on.
See?
And I was like, I was completely unaware of this, but Chris, my guitar player, I was like, I kept thinking this was a woman singing this. And Chris goes, well, he was like 11 when he recorded that. I'm like, I had no idea.
He was a child star,
Yeah, I had no idea. So I had to go down that rabbit hole later on and just go, and now the leather-faced king of Vegas,
Yeah, and wasn't he like was Don Ho, right?
I think so. Yeah.
And
yeah.
it wasn't. I think he was Hawaiian. I think he was like from Hawaii because I always think of Tiny Bubbles.
Yeah.
Tiny Bubbles.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, 1966 on that one.
Oh my goodness.
That means there's someone walking around. Okay, I'll stop. It's not as cool when it's like someone who's an adult. It's a lot cooler when it's like something that happened in 2003 and you're like, someone's walking around waiting to get their ID to go to a bar for the first time today. You know, like,
yeah. And I love it. God bless you. Keep going.
It was Tiny Bubbles, by the way, was originally written for Lawrence Welk. I do know that. And the one,
wow.
and the two, and
perfect.
I used to watch the Lawrence Welk show with my great aunt. I just called her my aunt. I didn't know that other people didn't have aunts that were 80.
Yeah.
But I would help take care of her house. I was her like garden boy. And
garden boy.
And so my aunt, so this is in the 80s. She was in her 80s. She was born in the previous century. Now 2 centuries ago.
Wow.
Yeah. And so she, there's some bad past there. There's some, let's just say they were from the South.
Oh.
South Carolina.
Okay. Understood.
And,
Understood.
and so like I did a school report on slavery, interviewing my great aunt. Who was pulling that, look, people didn't treat them as bad as you think. It's like a lawnmower. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Even at 16, I'm like, oh, goodness.
Yeah.
But she was who she was. Look, I'm just going to say it here. She loved that show that has that little N-word kid. You know, the funny one, the funny N-word kid. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I was like, Webster? And she's like, yeah, Webster. I love that show. The funny kid. Everyone go Google Webster 1980s sitcom, and you will see exactly what I meant by that.
Emmanuel Lewis, thank you very much. Best friends with Michael Jackson. May I offer some facts about Mr. Emmanuel Lewis real quick?
Please do.
He was born in Brooklyn, New York. His bachelor's degree from Clark Atlanta University. He is a practitioner of Taekwondo, and he is also a Freemason. You are welcome. He is a 3-time winner of the People's Choice Award and twice won a Clio Award. So
a Clio for advertising. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. What did he advertise? He did like Nestle Crunch. Wasn't he a Pepsi guy? Because like he was
a child spokesperson for Burger King.
Burger King, that's right. And because he was like hooked up with, not hooked up, that's a very poor choice of words, but he was connected to Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I thought they were very close friends.
Like I remember him doing a thing where he was dressed like Michael Jackson and he had a glove. He had a sequin glove on.
Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah.
That one guy.
It's actually really kind of odd. If you look, there's a picture on the front cover of a Jet magazine from that era of Michael Jackson and Emmanuel Lewis being together, and it's rather
Yeah.
So we're just gonna leave that alone.
It's not. Yeah. And we don't know. That wasn't part of the HBO doc.
No, it was not. But he was in it. You know, at least he was referenced in it. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I think he was a little too old for Michael.
I think about this, like, you know, I can't imagine, like, I mean, Michael Jackson, like, like a tragic kind of thing. Now, there's a point where, you know, it becomes your responsibility to deal with, you know, however fucked up you are and whatever fuckery is afoot in your brain. It's your responsibility for dealing with your trauma before you spill into anybody else. But can you imagine being a child star of that infamy, Michael Jackson, and then you know, an adult with that level of superstardom and fame? I mean, there's no way you can be grounded in reality whatsoever.
No. There's no way. Like, and not only just a star, but like, you know, the Jackson 5 were huge for kids and adults. And then all the people, like, as you become like a teenager, I knew someone who as a teenager was very famous, and I'm not going to say their name because I still know him. but they were very, very famous. And
I think I know who you're talking about.
They were like, the problem is that you're taking care of everyone. You're taking care of your family.
Yeah.
You know, Jason, that dude from that podcast from Smartless.
Yeah.
Jason Bateman was talking about this on that.
Yeah.
Where he was on it's a great show, by the way, on HBO if you get a chance to see it.
Yeah, it's really great.
Where he was like, you know, you just, like, he had to pass his finals or he wasn't going to get the next season. He couldn't work. But his parents had put all their, you know, all of their ducats on him. He was the working person. And, all these people are employed because of you. And, like, just imagine that at, like, 14.
Pressure. Yeah.
You know, when you're like, I just want to fuck off. I want to, I want to go on a date.
Yeah.
I just want to go to McDonald's. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I want to go skating or something. I want to go skateboarding.
Yeah, exactly. I can't imagine that pressure, you know. I mean, yeah. Have you seen, there's another podcast that I keep seeing clips of on TikTok, and it's Joey Lawrence and his brothers.
No.
You know, the Lawrence brothers, and they talk about all the things that they deal with, like all the things they dealt with, you know. I think, and it's, you know, like you know, him and all of his people. I think Melissa Joan Hart was on there. If you were an 80s or a 90s sitcom kid, you know who the hell I'm talking about. But they talk about like how difficult it was to maintain any type of personal integrity because of the world you're exposed to with that level of fame. And he was a teen idol. He was on the cover of every magazine possible, you know. Like, I just can't... There's days when I'm like, I have a hard enough time being a reasonable human being with the amount of success that I've had. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And it's, you know, it's challenging because you're, you know, there's a degree of, you know... not hero worship, but there's a degree of, wow, you have superpowers when it comes to what we do as artists and musicians. And if you are exceptionally good at it and you're exceptionally successful at it, that's going to be, you know, to the nth degree. And that can be really challenging to, you know, maneuver through those muddy waters. But I can't imagine, like, getting to a level where, I mean, I'm always really grateful that I didn't go any... I've got my own personal success. It's doing me well. It's doing my world right. I'm okay with it. If I'd gotten any further, I'm not entirely sure what kind of fucking mess I would be, you know?
Yeah. We've both had, you know, success, but not like, you know, uber super. Yeah. Like, and I mean, even at that level, I know I've told stories about it where I lived, you know, and I think a lot of people have gone through this. I've talked to a few people in some 90s bands that had a few hits, or 2000 bands that just had like one or two hits, and they're not huge people or whatever. Like the guy from Fuel. There was a guy, Brett, I think is his name.
Scallion?
Yeah.
Scallion? Yeah.
You know, when they first started breaking, we were talking backstage, and the same thing happened to us. Like, their song was on the radio, and he still lived in an apartment. Yeah. You know, and like they weren't on tour yet. The video wasn't going, but the song was on the radio. Things were happening. They're already a band that had like some local success, regional success. Had toured a little bit, but he still lived in an apartment. And you know, I had kind of the same thing that happened to me when we started hitting radio, where I was in a 3-story walk-up, and like you could just come to my apartment, and I had this huge blue couch. Shout out to Jeff again. Thank you for the blue couch,
for the big blue couch.
But the big blue couch, and like I would hide under it because you could see into my apartment from the window. Oh wow! And people would try to open the window, and like I would hear people try to break in. There was some chicks trying to break in, and like that happened a few times. And, you know, like, don't cry for me because there's some, you know, groupie that wants to break in or whatever. But still, it is, at that moment, it was really scary. It was like one of those things where I'm like, I really became insular. I really became private, very private. Like, during the band stuff and parties or whatever, great. But the second I turned it off and I closed that door, all the shutters went down, double locks on the door. Never left. Yeah. Like, I mean, just because then you start thinking, and apparently it happened to him too. He was like, that totally happened to me. And we were just exchanging because you're not huge and you're not rich, but you're kind of a little famous. And
your face is on VH1 every day.
Yeah, but this is, you know, he went so much bigger. Yeah. And this is how he ends up on a TMZ video at DIA writing the baggage claim, the carousel.
Was that him or was that the dude from Puddle of Mud?
Oh no, that was the dude from Puddle of Mud. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
I don't want to be sued for that one.
Yeah, I don't think Brett Scallions was writing the thing. Although every time I watch those things go around,
Scallions from Puddle of Mud.
No,
and I'm thinking of the other guy from Fuel.
No, Brett Scallions is from Fuel. What's his nuts is from Puddle of Mud.
Wes Borland. No, that's a
Wes Borland's from Limp Bizkit.
That's right.
And also Danny Elfman. Right now, he plays with, or at least he was when they did the Hollywood Bowl. Wes Borland and Neely Brosh, fantastic guitar player. From LA, they're both amazing. Wes Borland way better than he should have been for being in Limp Bizkit, but I just love his creativity as a musician. What a fucking every time I'm at the international airport, I look at those conveyor belts going around and I go, man, I fucking get it. I would ride that too.
Especially 3:00 in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
A little drunk.
Yeah. I'm a little delirious. I've had 7 Merlots on the flight here,
Totally.
Totally. I read recently that Puddle of Mud just canceled a whole bunch of shows because Wes is kind of being a little challenging recently, I've heard.
He's a bitch. I'm sorry. You're a little bitch. And when he went on and he did that, in our little tribute groups and all that, there is that. There's that meme of him trying to sing the song,
the Nirvana song. Is it about a girl?
Whatever it was, and he cannot sing it at all.
Yeah. Have you seen Justin? What's the Darkness? Justin Hawkins, thank you.
Again.
Thank you. I couldn't remember his name for a second. I'm sorry, Justin. I love your show. Have you seen his take on this? It's really, really. He's such a gorgeous human, in my opinion.
How nice
Justin
is
Hawkins.
he about it? What did he say?
He's so nice about it. He's watching it and he goes, "Oh my god, I just feel for him. That looks so painful."
Yes.
He's just so kind about it, and I'm like, oh man, I really hope I'm that nice when
He is so nice.
He's so nice about it.
I imagine when he was in his really hardcore alcoholism.
Yeah.
That he was maybe ripped on people, and that was part of his steps of you know what? Just show grace and everything. Because I can see it hey, the good thing is he didn't stop. He still pushed through the trying to sing it.
Yeah.
Even though he must know he's not hitting those notes.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So
and you can't just quit and go, I suck. I can't do it. Yeah. Turn it off. Turn off everything. What do you mean turn it off? It's live.
Was he on Stern doing that?
I think it was, yeah.
God, I've seen some really great performances from that room.
Oh, God,
recently. I think Harry Styles is one of my favorites.
Harry Styles.
Yeah, anyway.
I thought Royal Blood, when they first came out, and Howard Stern was this is just the fucking two of you? That's amazing. And they were really fresh. Just had been signed.
Some fresh-faced teens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it was great. Well, I am still at the undisclosed location for one more week. We're getting towards the end of it. I'm in the home stretch. I'm in the last few miles of a marathon here.
How's your animal husbandry?
I love the puppy. I do. I love her. She's great. She's just so much. She's just so much. And and I'm trying to. So we got back from last weekend. Went up and saw Foo Fighters.
Ooh, tell me everything.
My record is clean still. I've never missed a Foo Fighters show in Colorado. Never.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Ever since the Ogden.
Wow, that's a long time ago.
When their first guitarist was there. When Pat was first in the band. And
then when Pat was first in the band and then out of the band again.
Yeah. But they played the Jazz Aspen Fest. This is so
it's
funny.
Not actually a jazz fest.
It's not actually a jazz fest, but it's JAS. Jazz Aspen Snowmass. Starts out as a Jazz Aspen Fest. But now it's just known as Jazz, but it's JAS. Which, by the way, I had a bunch of emailing about this, and I learned something this week. The Z on my keyboard is broken.
The what key on
the Z? I was right. I had to write. I was writing this whole thing about jazz and jazz Aspen Fest. I was like, what the fuck? And it just a whole bunch of I do the word search thing, and it was like jaw. Why did I write jaw everywhere? Yeah. Like it was like jaw man. Like, and I was like, what the fuck? No. Jazz. I know what that word is. Yeah. Jazz. I'm like, oh my God, my Z is broken. If your Z is broken on your keyboard, it may be a month before you know. Like, it's a lot of words I don't use that have Z in them.
Yeah, no kidding.
But so we went up there and just, jetted into Aspen real quick. And so got to drive through the mountains. It was lovely. Stayed in Snowmass Village. Yeah. Which is not Snowmass. It's about 30 minutes away from Snowmass. Yeah. Which is also not Aspen, which is closer to Woody Creek, which is also not Carbondale. And and I always get it fucked up. I always think that Aspen is Vail. Yeah. And so, you come out of Eisenhower and you come down I-70 and hit Dillon, and then you hit Vail and you're like, fucking hey, we're almost there. It's like an hour. This is amazing. Nope. No, you are 2 more hours away. It's 3 hours.
You got to hit Glenwood Springs and then
do
you're
the
an
turn.
hour away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do the turn.
So, but a great event.
Unless you go over Independence Pass.
A great,
and you don't want to do
fuck that.
Like, you don't want to do that.
Even in September, you're like, it may be a blizzard. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
And just one truck and you're fucked. One truck is wrong. I know this is super localized, but anybody that's driven through the mountains in Colorado, do not take Independence Pass unless it's like the middle of July. Yeah. Like, that's
well, even then, I did a gig in Aspen and I took Independence Pass, and there was a bicycle race going on, and they do not share the road.
They do not. They don't
Contrary to popular belief, there is no sharing the road whatsoever.
Yeah. So this is the tour that Foo Fighters are back with a new drummer.
Yeah, Josh Freese.
And I know we've talked about them a lot on this, but I won't go so much into them. It was they were amazing. They were the headliners.
Yeah.
I think there was the Lumineers played the night before. We just did one night.
Yeah.
But they were amazing. They didn't play some songs I thought they would. They didn't play Rescued. They didn't play, but the
first single off the new record they didn't play? That's an interesting choice.
But they played Learning to Walk Again. They did play.
I love that song.
They played a lot of songs that they haven't played live, like in a long time. They played Breakout from Nothing Left to Lose. They played Big Me, which they don't really play that much. Yeah. So I think there were a few songs that maybe Josh was like, maybe Taylor was like, yeah, that's not my kind of. I'm sick of playing that song. And Josh was like, I want to play that. So, I mean, but like the outros and the intros and the segues, the band is on fire. If you get a chance to see them this year.
I love it.
Like, there are some heavy duty parts of the band set. Yeah. They played Shame from the last album.
Yeah.
Really long intro, kind of talking like, Dave settling down. But that was cool to see live, which I don't think I've ever seen them do that live other than Silent Live during COVID. Yeah. Amazing setup. It's right up against the mountains. You have to take a shuttle to go see it. The beer gardens were great. Merch was great, all that. Okay, so that's Foo Fighters. Billy fucking Idol was the co-headliner.
Yeah.
Billy Idol was amazing. Yeah. I mean, amazing. And I was not that excited to see Billy Idol, I got to admit.
Oh, I remember.
I know. And I was like, just not that excited to see it. And my crew wasn't excited. We were like, what if we go a little late?
No, I think one member of your crew was very excited and kept bringing up that. Yeah.
Every time I'd say, we're going to go see the Foo Fighters, she was like, and Billy Idol.
And Billy Idol. Yep, exactly.
And that's because I think she saw him earlier this year. And I just, I'm like, okay, there's like 3 songs there. Great. And let's watch him kind of limp through it all. And like, Billy is not young. Billy
he's not.
A man of a certain age, like 67, 70, something. He's up there.
You keep going. I'm going to look it up. Yeah. Let's find out how old.
And I guess I was a Billy Idol fan, but I wasn't like a Billy Idol fan. I liked a bunch of songs. I was
67.
67, okay. So I was like, I totally want to hear, there was a few songs I wanted to hear. So as the set's going on, first of all, he came out, no shirt. He looks amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever drugs he's on, I would like to, please.
He's on the drug of life, man.
Yeah. And his voice sounded great. Steve Stevens sounded great.
Oh, yeah. Still amazing.
And there was a part in the set, so he's like, blasting through some songs, and then they did a new one, and it was about him wrecking his motorcycle and almost dying. And I was like, didn't that happen before? But apparently it's happened almost again. Fairly good new song, by the way.
Nice.
Something called like Left on the Road, something like that.
Okay. Let's take a look at that.
But we're getting into it, and then he does the pretty cool like intro to Eyes Without a Face with like a classical guitar part.
Ooh, yeah.
Flesh for Fantasy. I was so happy. When you're at a show these days, when a big thing comes on that everyone resonates with, you see everyone's hands go up with a cell phone.
Yeah.
And because they want to get it on their phone.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with Flesh for Fantasy. And I was like, oh my God, this is everyone else's favorite Billy Idol song too. Because I really like Flesh for Fantasy. So we get into it. And so somewhere in the middle of the set, I'm thinking, okay, they're probably going to do a half an hour, 40 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
And then Steve Stevens comes and does like sort of like his eruption moment. He does all of his Steve Stevens stuff, just the guitar out in front.
Yeah.
Pulls out an acoustic. He's doing some like pretty cool like chicken picking stuff. And then he starts like jamming into like different songs. I'm with a few kids that are 16, by the way. So there's my friend has a few kids that we're with. One of them is a guitarist, a musician, and an actor, and I really love this kid. He's great. And he looks up and he's like, $10 if you play Stairway. I was like, there's no fucking way. And I was like, oh, I owe you $10. $10.
Nice.
And he fucking started playing Stairway to Heaven. It was amazing.
What?
Yeah.
I'm a little shocked at that, actually.
I was totally shocked. I was like, I will take that bet any day. Like a guitarist, we don't do that.
We don't do that. That's against the rules. Not in that sense. I mean, I did it as a joke one night when they asked me to play a guitar. It was like, hey, man, why don't you play something shredding? And I played that.
Yes.
Actually, that happened about 6 weeks ago.
I didn't get to the end of it. Yeah.
No.
No. So, and I'm sitting there and I'm talking to this kid and I'm like, he's like, so what's going on here? Why is he doing all this solo stuff? I was like, well, it's weird. This is normally what happens when you have like 5 or 6 songs left and the singer gets to take a little break, have a shot backstage, catch their breath, do a little extra warm up for whatever they have to finish the songs with. Yeah. And he was like, oh, that makes sense. I was like Def Leppard does this with Switch 682. Like they do this, like all big bands do this where you have an instrumental section so the singer can go backstage, kind of wipe off, get, spit out everything, get going again, take a shot to get the rest of it done. I was like, but they got like 2 songs left. Like it's like Rebel Yell and White Wedding. I was wrong.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
They ended up blasting through 7 more fucking songs.
Wow.
And I forgot about Hot Child in the City or Hot in the City. They played the song that they wrote for Speed, the movie. I didn't remember that one.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Then they did Moni Moni, and I totally forgot about his version of Moni Moni, which, by the way, again, standing next to a 16-year-old, the whole 10,000 group of people who are obviously older people watching Foo Fighters and Billy Idol, we're singing the refrain of Moni Moni as you do. Yeah. Very nice Gen X lyrics there.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's looking up at me. He's like, was this actually the lyrics? I was like, no, this is just what we all sang in the club when the song would come on.
Yeah.
Hey,
exactly.
motherfucker, get fucked. Like that whole thing.
Yeah.
So then he ends it, and it was and Rebel Yell, White Wedding. It just. I was blown away. I was like, "Fucking A, he's really good still." Not just on a nostalgic note. Like he was, that was good for what it was. It was great.
Yeah,
right.
Totally.
Then later on, Foo Fighters brought him on during the set to do Sex Pistols' "Pretty Vacant."
Oh, nice.
So we're so pretty, oh so pretty, vacant. Right? And the kid next to me again was like, he sounds like he's saying cunt. And I was like, welcome to punk music. That's why they picked that word.
Yep.
So
exactly.
He got this whole education during this whole show.
I love it. That's fantastic.
By the way, that was cool to see Dave playing And Pat, by the way, Pat being in the Germs and a punk, original punk guy. And I was telling the kid, I was like, by the way, Billy Idol was in a punk band called Generation X before Generation X was Generation X. Like, he was in the early 80s. I was like, he's like one of those original guys. He's like, God damn. So, yeah, it was just an amazing show. And then, so you got to get on a shuttle to go back to the hotel.
Yeah.
Everything is shuttles. Everybody's waiting for a shuttle. You get on these like little 20-seat buses and people are standing up and stuff. And so we get on the bus and the guy is playing like kind of yacht rock music really loud.
Oh.
And so he's playing American Pie and everyone's drunk because it's a show, right?
Yeah.
So everyone just starts just singing the song.
Nice.
Everyone
That's
just
fun.
starts singing, bye, Miss America. And I mean loud, like
all
drunk
17
singing.
minutes of it?
Yes. And they sing it the whole time, which, okay, so for a lot of people, I'm sure that was a great experience. And my whole crew is on the bus in the front, and they're singing along, and everybody's kind of a little drunk on Coors Lights and shit. But like for me, that is like, I hate that shit. I hate that shit. I know that I'm horrible that way, and I know, and like, because then my friends are like, Michael, sing, and I'm like, no, fuck that, I'm not gonna. So then the next song was like, why do you fill me up? Right? It was the Buttercup song.
Yeah.
And so, okay, Kristen's like, Michael, sing. Oh, sorry, I mentioned her name. But anyway, she's yelling from the front, yelling back.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
And so I did what I do. And instead of sing it for real, because everyone's drunk singing it and there are no singers on the bus. Let's just put it that way.
There's no singers on the bus.
So I just do it this, so everybody's, why do you fill me up? And then I would do the callbacks like this. Why do you fill me up, Buttercup, don't break my heart. And I would just sing it really like off. And then everyone started singing along with me. It was
That's
fun.
Amazing.
It was funny.
Yeah.
And we made it back to the hotel and then went to the bar after, and it was
excellent.
And then so
that
in the morning,
amazing.
I was dying for a hot tub. So I've been walking this dog every fucking day, twice, and blah blah blah. My body is broken. And because of the hamstring injury, it's still not healed.
Yeah.
The sciatica because I'm not walking right. But I got to make it through a few more days, right? And I'm like, if they have a hot tub, I'm going to do whatever I can to get in it. So in the morning, it opens at 8 o'clock, and we'd been to sleep at 2 or something. I get up, I go out, I go down to the pool. Right at 8 o'clock, I open the door, and I walk out there. They have 2 hot tubs. One of them is empty. I'm like, yay. I go sit in it. I'm in there for like 15 minutes. It's just lovely, right? And then there's these 2 girls trying to get in. They're in robes. We're right on the side of a ski slope. There are chairlifts. It's gorgeous. It's a beautiful morning. These 2 girls can't get in, but clearly they're from the hotel. Oh, God damn it. So I got to get up and let them in. So I get up and let them in. One of them is Heidi Gardner from Saturday Night Live.
Get out of here.
Yeah. And then her friend, who's like a yoga chick. So then they get in my hot tub and start doing like sort of sun salutations. And I'm like, okay, now I'm the creepy guy that's sitting here looking at you in bikinis. So I got to sit on the other side of the hot tub and just face the mountain. So I'm not even looking at anyone. But it was nice. We had a little chat, and they were lovely. They were nice people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we spent, many hours getting home in bad traffic.
Oh yeah,
how was your crazy weekend?
My crazy weekend was not as crazy. I mean, it's pretty quiet actually. It's been kind of nice. I've been, taking my dog.
Did you play a Labor Day show?
No, I did not. I actually have been. It's been a pretty quiet couple of weeks around these hip hots for the Labor's Days. What did I had something? No, I had absolutely fargan nothing
awesome.
that weekend, and I did very little, and it was very, very nice. Because normally summertime, and especially the end of summer, gets absolutely chaotic. But this year's been quieter, I should say, and has allowed me some space to do some other things, such as writing some new stuff. I've been working on some, I've got some, composition instructional books I'm working on. I'm working on some, like just kind of ways to, approach creativity that people usually don't think about. And, my opinion on creativity, which is the more boundaries you have, the more creative you can be.
Ah, very nice.
So that's what I've been. I've had some time to work on all of that, and it's been really nice.
That's
been
great.
Nice to get it all going. Yeah.
Well, we got to give a little love here to Jimmy Buffett, who passed away this week.
Yeah.
So I wanted to give a little love to Jimmy Buffett here. That I wanted to start with this about him, and we'll get into sort of atop the sort of music topic around this. But let me start it by this. I think that Margaritaville is the most valuable song ever written.
Ooh.
That's the hot take.
That's an interesting. Okay.
Because of what it has spurned, because of what it has created, from
full empire
casinos
for him, yeah.
to retirement communities to alcohol brands to, and the song itself.
Yeah.
I was talking to a few people who've been around the world. It's funny, my friends, like I said, are in Spain and Portugal right now.
Yeah.
And people started breaking out Jimmy Buffett there. It is a worldwide thing. I have a friend who she does the voiceovers for Powder Puff Girls, and she's in Japan.
Nice.
She was like, yeah, even in Japan, where they do not have busking, by the way, that is not a thing you do in Japan. You do not take your guitar out with a jar because it's dirty. But there were people like breaking out in Margaritaville outside of the karaoke bars and stuff. And just to know that like everywhere that, people wear flip-flops and things like that, that they were remembering Jimmy Buffett. And listen, Jimmy Buffett, like, he's not a Mozart. I don't think we should make him out to be that. But the place he occupied in the music world is so unique. Yeah. Like coming up in the late 60s.
Yeah.
He was signed to replace Jim Croce when Jim Croce died.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, so he was supposed to be sort of the acoustic storyteller crooner guy.
Yeah,
And this is before he had a Coral Reef band, and he was just him in New Orleans. He was a busker, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then he sort of, fell into sort of that lifestyle. But like, if you think about the late 60s and the early 70s, this is a tumultuous time. You have Dylan. You have like all, James Taylor. You've got like hard, heavy hitter songwriters that are playing deep music or protest music, and you've got civil rights stuff happening in the Vietnam War. And here's this guy, just like, hey man, what's going on? Like kind of hippie dude, which makes sense in the early 70s, but on the eastern coast, he wasn't really part of the whole Laurel Canyon crew. To come out and to occupy that place in history, and then by the mid 70s when he did Margaritaville and Volcano Song and some of those songs that would become Changes in Latitudes and Attitudes, all that stuff. That's a huge thing. By the way, that was like right when disco was happening, and he's playing beach calypso kind
songs.
Of music.
And
so I just think he deserves his flowers, certainly. He has an album in the can, by the way.
Really?
Paul McCartney's on it. There's a few people that are. He's just recorded it. It's in the can. I don't remember who the other. I think someone from the Rolling Stones. I think Keith Richards may be on it too.
Oh wow!
But at
cool.
least Paul McCartney's on it, and that's how I kind of found out that it's going to be coming out later this year, maybe.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad there's some other stuff coming out. It's funny. I was not a Jimmy Buffett fan until I knew the songs, I've heard them, but it was a song he sang with Zach Brown called Knee Deep that turned me into a Jimmy Buffett fan. And it was all about, the song is fine, right? The song is good, but he takes the second verse.
Right.
And his delivery of his lines, the notes he chose, the way he sang it, that was the moment I went, holy fuck, this guy's got this ease about him that he's able to translate musically and he's doing things I would never even think about doing because of his whole demeanor and his attitude and the brands that he's built and all the things he's sung about. It just, it really was, and that was when, you go backwards, you know?
Yeah.
I remember one of my first acoustic gigs I did when I was probably in my mid-20s, just to pay the rent kind of thing. I ended up showing up at this patio bar with a volleyball court in the back, and it's a Parrot Head meeting.
Oh, wow.
And of course, and this is before I'm still into the shred prog shit.
Yeah.
I'm basically playing some stuff that I can play fucking, like Guns N' Roses Patience right now to please everybody if I need to. And this Parrot Head meeting going on at this where they're all drinking tequila and having themselves a great time. And the guys say, "Hey, do you know any Jimmy Buffett songs?" And I'm like, No. And I did not. I used to be a real prick when I was young. I'm still a pretty good prick myself at this point. But, just like, oh, man, I really wish I had done those guys better, because that was, yeah. Anyway.
Do you know where Parrot Head comes from?
No idea.
Parrot Head came from, they were playing concerts. The band was playing concerts in, the mid-'80s or something. And people would keep showing up on their own in Hawaiian shirts. And some of them had parrots on their heads, they'd wear these parrot hats, and
tropical vibes and stuff.
Timothy B. Schmidt, who was in the Eagles, who, by the way, Jimmy Buffett opened for in the late '70s, and that probably was one of the reasons why he kind of took off. But Timothy B. Schmidt was in the Coral Reefer band, and he was the guy who was like, "Oh, we should call them Parrot Heads." Because he made comment on the stage. He was like, "You guys are like deadheads. They follow everybody around." And Timothy B. Schmidt was the guy that coined the term. And yeah, so a little interesting little factoid there.
That's a nice little tidbit.
Yeah. So this brings us to our sort of music section here.
Yeah.
I also was not a Jimmy Buffett fan. I was alive during all this, but no.
Yeah.
I was listening to Led Zeppelin, or in the '80s, I was listening to metal and whatever, and emo and fucking goth shit and whatever. But I wasn't listening to soft rock at that time, right?
Yeah.
I got into Jimmy Buffett in the early '90s while living in a bachelor pad. And we would get a keg of beer and have parties all the time. And one of my buddies had an album that was Songs You Know by Heart, Greatest Hits album.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we played it every fucking night. It was one of hey kids, this is a playlist basically. We would put that CD in and it would just play. And so Cheeseburger and Paradise, Volcano Song. I still whenever I think about Jimmy Buffett, I think about Mr. Utley. I don't know why. Because it's the Volcano Song. I don't know. I don't know where I'm gonna go when the volcano blows. Mr. Utley, and Mr. Utley would do the solo. I have no idea who that is.
Yeah.
But that still sticks in my head today.
I get it.
And the thing is that I fell in love with Jimmy Buffett music for that very reason, because of a greatest hits album. And it got me thinking about greatest hits albums. The same thing I think happened to a lot of people sort of our age, maybe a little bit younger. I know there are plenty of millennials that are like this too. But if you think about it, I wasn't a Bob Marley fan in the 70s. Yeah. And he was dead by the time I was, in my music going thing. Yeah. So when I got Legend, that's when I learned all the Bob Marley stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
That summer that you have a friend that listens to Bob Marley every fucking day, right? Yeah. Same thing with Eagles, the very best of the Eagles. With all due respect to Dude. Tom Petty. Tom Petty, same thing. Like some of these bands, they weren't huge radio hits when we were younger. Yeah. But when you got the greatest hits and then they kind of came back off of that, you're like, oh my God, American Girl. And, and all these songs are that was 76. I wouldn't fucking know. That was, I was a little boy. Same thing with Jimi Hendrix. Yeah. Or the best of the Doors or the best of Bowie. There were some of those things that made these bands the classic. Queen, greatest hits Queen, when that came out.
Yeah. 1980, 81, right under there.
Yeah. And that became, then it became another greatest hits album around the time Wayne's World came out.
greatest hits too.
Yeah, and so that's when a whole
it was
generation
also right around the time Freddie died.
Learns about him. Yeah, and it got me thinking, like, how do we get back to that? Because there is something to be said for greatest hits albums, introducing a new fan. Because I don't think that you go in streaming and you're like, okay, so like say you're 22, you're probably not into Jay-Z because Jay-Z is old music to you.
Yeah.
Okay. You're not going to go and like run through all fucking 12 albums or whatever of Jay-Z or go through the blueprint and all of those.
Yeah.
And there needs to be a greatest hits format for you to be like, hey, these were the bangers. Yeah. And then that one secret song or whatever. Mm-hmm. I do know that some of this is coming back with vinyl because it restricts you, right? 10 or 12 songs on vinyl that you can fit.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering if independent bands, and especially bands that have like sort of that are still doing it but have like a catalog, and it passed them by. They weren't major superstars like Cracker, like those kind of bands. But they had 2 or 3 hits and then some older songs. I wonder if there's room in the music industry for greatest hits albums.
Yeah.
And
give me an example of a band you're thinking about. Like I because of the way people are consuming music right now with the singles and the that kind of thing.
You said that like old guy rant with the singles and the
old man
the fast forwarding and the
with
speeding
the fast
ups
forwarding.
of things.
And if you're on the free plan, and you want that song, it's gonna play you 7 other songs before you get to that one.
And a Geico ad, for Christ's sake.
And the Geico ad. I wonder about I don't think we're in a culture that consumes music that way anymore. Yeah. So I think that if you're going to, if you want a greatest hits kind of vibe, it's going to be like a re-release of a single. Like this was my big hit single from 1995, Vertical Horizon. Or or whatever it is it's going to be doing there, that kind of stuff. And so I don't think it's about the album greatest hits anymore. I think I think the people that want that are not the new generation of people listening to music. Like we discovered Queen when we were kids because of these greatest hits record. I don't think that's how kids are finding music now. Although my son found Bob Marley watching movies with me. We watched I Am Legend, and Three Little Birds is in that movie. And so he found that song, and then he went down the rabbit hole with No Woman, No Cry, which still maintained the live version has got one of the greatest outro guitar solos ever.
Absolutely. Used to play that live.
So he went down his own rabbit hole on that, but that's also my kid, and I'm a full-time professional musician.
Right.
So he's going to consume, and his banger playlist is 14 days long, or something. He's never listened to all the songs,
Right. There needs to be some restriction to it.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
And I think part of the reason why our generation or people around our age, because I know you're younger, but like. How
dare you?
I know, but you're cuter too. Is so if I your parents listened to the Eagles, or your parents listened.
My parents did not listen to Eagles
Doors or Beach Boys or whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
When I became like going to record store age, Peaches or Musicland at the mall or whatever. I'm not going to go buy...
Sam Goody.
I know, Sam Goody. I'm not going to go buy 6 fucking albums, right? Like, so because of the money restriction, it made total sense where it's like, okay, I heard that one Bob Marley song. I'm going to go buy the greatest hits and get all the good stuff, right? For my $12 or $15, whatever it was. And so, but now because now that $12 or $15 is all of the music in the world.
Yeah,
in your
exactly.
Pocket. You're not restricted by that because you can hear all of them, but the time in your ear is not there. You cannot hear all of them. But I wonder. Yeah, I guess there's not really a path forward for it, but I wish there were. I wish there was. Like I miss it because there's some of the like. Jimmy Buffett is the great example of this. I would not have gotten into knowing changes in latitudes, changes in attitudes, which is, like kind of a fucking sailing song or Son of a Sailor Those kind of songs, like that would have never hit my radar. I would have not been listening to that radio station. He wasn't an MTV guy. It wasn't something I would have seen live. But I would have never gotten any of that exposed to me if it wasn't for a greatest hits record. And
I have a question.
Yeah.
My question is this: it's regarding this idea of the greatest hits record. What this is just a brain fart and a thought in my head, which is, if I'm an artist that has a catalog of hits, or like a vertical horizon where I have 5 or 6 things, what is to prevent me from on my streaming platforms, besides label issues, to just saying, you know what, I'm only going to put the 5 greatest hits up there, and everything else can be, if you want to be part of my Patreon or my Substack, if you're a Kimber fan, and you can get everything else if you become a member of my club. What is to prevent an artist from doing something like that besides shooting themselves in the foot?
I don't know if it's shooting yourself in the foot. I think, first of all, I've consulted some people on some of these sort of techniques on streaming. Yeah. Like, you got to have balls to do it.
Yeah, totally.
And you've got to be kind of consistent in the way that you do it. And like, the way that you do it, you need to make sure you have a secondary, like, your fan base has to be owned. You have to own your fan base on your own email list, your own text list, your own website, whatever that is. And it could be Patreon. It could be another platform. Because, look, there's a few reasons why it's great. One, it's a news story, right? It's a press thing. Yeah. We're taking off all of our music, and we're leaving these 5-10 songs on streamers. Yeah. You can do that. Yeah. If you're self-distributed, or you reach out to your own distributor, if you're through STEM or whatever. Yeah. You can do it to where, like, okay, so there's an artist that I talked to. I need to check in with her. I don't know if she's done this. But her plan was to take everything off and only offer her previous work on physical.
Interesting.
So either CDs, cassettes, vinyl, whatever you wanted to do, but it would only be physical. There would be no... And if you got the physical, you could get a personal download. You could do all that kind of
unique
stuff.
Download code.
But no streamers at all. No, like, you could do it yourself if you wanted to. I don't know if she actually did that, but I kind of instructed her on how to do it. And especially now that you can kind of do print on demand, because no one really cares if it's a CDR or a real CD, but whatever. And they'll pay for this. The same thing with vinyl. If you do a vinyl on demand, it's a little bit more expensive, but I mean, you're already up at $25 with shipping, so there's a good way to do it. But I also think this leads into other strategies, and I'll just go through them really quick. That I've long held that they're a good strategy for streaming. Again, if you have the balls to do it, you gotta hang on to this. But just put out the chorus on streaming. Just put out 1.5, 2. It's gotta be 1.5 to 2 minutes long, roughly, depending on how many songs you put on, like, an album or whatever. And if you want the full song, you go to my Patreon. So you just put the hook. Whatever. And that way it goes into TikTok, it goes into Reels, it goes into all the digital stuff. You can use it on YouTube. So you can still utilize the music. So that's the key here, is that if you pull it all off of digital, you can't use it on, like, the TikTok and Reels and things like that to do promotion. Although you could upload it separately, it just becomes more difficult than getting your 1-minute thing off a DistroKid or that gets delivered. So that was one way to do it. The other way to do it is that you do that, and I don't think I can mention the band because I think they're doing this right now, but they're in Norway. Hi, Norway. Again, by the way, we're going to have a Norway episode coming up. I'm preparing one because we have fallen out of favor with Norway, but
oh no,
it's okay. We're coming back.
Okay,
and we may be going there. So that's what I'm talking about. But anyway, so what I told them to do is take your albums, your previous albums, and make them one song.
Ooh.
So you do a 45-minute song. That is the album. And that is the whole. So you have one piece of artwork.
Just one track.
You upload the one track. And that's the way you do it. And then if you want it separate, You go to their Patreon, you go to the whatever, and you can get it like physical or digital that way.
Oh, that's interesting.
But that is an interesting way to do it. But it's also a lot easier for like your ad spread, if you're doing an ad spread, because the same thing is that it flows over to YouTube, it flows over to Content ID. All of that. Now it's fucked for like your TikTok sounds because you got to find that 30 seconds.
You have to get that time code.
Yeah. So, and it will just pick part of it, and it may be the 5th song or whatever. But that's not you. They can do it separately that way. But that's what they're trying to do, is like they have like 4 albums, I think, 4 albums and an EP or something. I was like, so that way when you go to your Spotify profile, there are 4 things I can listen to. There is no, you don't have to worry about nothing, and you're going to get, first of all, a little bit more royalty rate for an over 5.5 minute song. Listen, right? There's a different royalty rate for that. And you also, if people are going to fast forward anyway, let them fuck around with the song over and over and over. I don't actually, and this is one of the reasons why we talked about it, I don't actually know how Spotify counts that.
Yeah, I'm curious. Yeah.
So we're this is kind of an experiment for us all to figure it out. If you scrub a 30-minute song, how often it counts as the play.
Yeah.
If you stop and you go back, or if you get there and then you scrub forward and you do it again, and but the thing is like when you take your song off of Content ID on YouTube, the topic. Anyone that's done this is for musicians only, really. But when your song gets loaded onto Content ID from your distributor into YouTube, it's called Topic, and it creates its own topic thing. It creates an album or a single. Well, when it does that, you can basically collect that and put that on your artist channel as a release. You don't get a fuck with it, but you can collect it. But so the song you put on, or the video you put on YouTube, you can do chapters. And so now the album is just like a real album. So they can skip to song 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. So you can still do it. So these are interesting ways to do it, where you could kind of do it that way. I don't know. I think that the greatest hits album thing is, it's a shame that that's not a part of the world anymore. I think we've lost something there.
Oh, yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah, especially with like sort of classic artists. And by now I'm talking, when I say classic artists, I mean the 2000s now. Like, where's My Chem, or, or Fall Out Boy, or Weezer, or, some of those bands, late 90s, early 2000s, that could have a greatest hits record.
Yeah, exactly.
That a kid now would be like, oh my God, I didn't even know this band existed.
My kid told me the other day that he loves Fall Out Boy and All Time Low, and I got very excited by this.
Wow, All Time Low, that's awesome.
Yeah. I was like, heck yeah, and he played me the songs he liked, and I was like, my life is awesome. My kid's playing great shit.
Totally.
It's exciting. So, thanks for that. I appreciate. Rest in peace, Jimmy Buffett. Thanks for creating a whole, a vibe for us all to enjoy.
Wear your sunscreen. It was skin cancer.
Nibbling on some sponge cake.
But then again, I mean, he had a good run. I mean, he did. I mean, by the way, the guy traveled the world 3 or 4 times. There's better stories than anybody.
I love it.
But he died at 76. It's an okay run. I know that's a little bit young for people now. But that's a pretty good run. But it was like a rare kind of skin disease. So it wasn't just because he was out on the ocean drinking all day.
Exactly.
All right, Kelsey tells me. So Kelsey's in my ear, and she is chuffed.
She is well pleased.
Yes, that no one has found her. We have not found her. I have not found her. And she doesn't give a fuck at all. I asked her, I was like, so are you going to give it up? And she's like, no, I don't want to be found. Like, it's your game. I don't care.
Oh, yeah. She's like, you're the one with skin in this game and money.
That's right. So she is very impressed with herself. I know. I'm telling them that.
Yeah.
So she's very impressed with herself, but you can still keep looking for her. Kelsey is about and around. We do know it's Instagram. We do know that she is, a cute young gal. And very talented. And she likes art and wine. There you go. So that's what?
So good luck to you.
About 400 million people on Instagram that are like that.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way,
like that.
and I told her, I was like, here's how I know that like a few of the profiles that I have found for Kelsey aren't her.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
if there is a hot chick on Instagram and it says loyalty, God, and family, they 100% have a fucking OnlyFans. 100% out of the time, there's an OnlyFans invite coming. There is a, hey, how are you doing when you follow him? When you follow him back.
Yeah.
Because I get people that follow me like that, but anyway, it's funny.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into a little sync of the week.
Sync
I will go
of the
first on
week.
this one.
Okay.
I am totally stoked that the new season of The Morning Show is coming back on Apple TV.
Yes.
I'm not
Great
sure
show.
when it's coming back. I don't have it written down here. But I did see the trailer for it. And if you get a chance to see the trailer for it, the song is Glory by Her, which is stylized H.E.R. That's the amazing guitarist and singer and songwriter Her.
Yeah.
If you get a chance to hear it, this is a good instructional thing about how to do trailers, because the song is mixed with a bunch of different kinds of music, but that is the song that is the head of the trailer.
Gotcha.
But it's a really interesting trailer, and it's like a 1.5-minute trailer for the morning show for the new season, which is produced by Media Res. Charlotte Stout serves as the new showrunner, also the writer and executive producer with Mimi Litter. And I think Reese Witherspoon's people own part of it, her and Jen.
Yeah.
But yeah, the new morning show is coming back. We're getting back into that, and so that's mine. Glory by Her.
Excellent. That's an excellent choice.
She's not just a nationwide spokesperson.
She's a fucking
Nationwide
badass, that
is
woman.
on your side.
Yeah. Fantastic player. I love her signature strat too.
Yeah.
I am currently I'm busy with a lot of things. There's a little bit of chaos I've been managing in my world, but so usually when that's going on, I really don't consume any new stuff.
Love it.
Until the chaos kind of settles down. So I've been, like rewatching, like late at night when it's time to wind down, throw on one of my comfort food shows. And I've recently been rewatching The West Wing because it's probably one of my favorite shows of all time. Coupled along with, Sorkin's other masterpiece, The Newsroom, which is one I enjoy as well.
Love that show.
But speaking of Timothy B. Schmidt and Eagles, their episode 16 of season 2 of The West Wing is called Somebody's Going to Emergency, Somebody's Going to Jail. And throughout the entire episode, New York Minute by Eagles plays. It is, and it's every time it's juxtaposed against some of the imagery of Washington D.C. and some of the things that the characters are dealing with. It's just all throughout it, and the lyrics are spectacular. The recording's amazing. It's perfectly placed throughout this entire show, and that is our friends Stuart Getz and Ann Klein, supervisors on that.
Very nice.
It's just it's a delight to rewatch every single time. And I'm really enjoying rewatching that.
Little note on that. That's a Don Henley song. We don't want GMR to sue us. That is not an Eagles song.
That's Don Henley, not Eagles?
Yeah, it's from End of Innocence. And the backup singers, that's Take 6.
Really?
Yeah. One of my favorite songs of all time. Seriously,
Huh.
that song breaks my heart. I was actually going through a breakup when I listened to it. I had moved back from L.A., and my longtime girlfriend, and I would just sit in my room and cry like a little girl to that song.
Wow, yeah. I
New York
apologize. I
Minute,
forgot that
just
was a Don Henley.
Some of the greatest fucking lyrics, that song.
Yeah.
Just, oh my God.
Yeah. Well,
On
there you
some
go.
solitary rock, a desperate lover left his mark. Baby, I've changed. Please come back. Holy shit, that's a good line.
Yeah. Masterpiece.
The wolf is always at the door.
Yep.
I could do a whole episode on that song. Seriously, I know a bunch about the recording and the Take 6 stuff and how that all came.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll let that go for another time. All right, let's wrap this sucker up. Remember to rate and subscribe and give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and leave us a hilarious comment where you can. Make sure to email us 2ShotsMusicPod@gmail.com, and follow us anywhere you follow people at 2ShotsMusicPod. And we will follow you back probably, and probably say nice things about you and to you.
Yeah. Say you're dressed well, and you're glad you probably smell nice.
You do smell nice. I do know that for a fact. That's a fact.
Absolutely. That's a fact,
Jack.
Jack.
That's a fact, Jack. And that's a fact.
At 2 Shots Music Pod. Everywhere you find the socials.
And until then, we hope you write a great song. We hope you sing a great song. And we hope you live a great life.
Hugs and kisses. Love you. Bye.
Bye.